I got my address.
Okay, we're live.
Good morning, Anton.
He said you could go see. It's not cracking. What did you do? Have it in the fourth dimension. That's the name of the movie. Oh, so you can see it. You can see the crack in the fourth dimension. Oh. When you go to jail, she's what's that? The little Christmas movie. I'll do it for she gonna put season.
All right, we're going to begin. This is Prophet Rohei Nabi signing in. Family prophet to the angel of the church, to the Laodiceans, who are Israelites. Greetings. I want to deal with this wedding garment as briefly as I can. Okay. Let's get Matthew chapter 22. Zavindra, you can start reading. Start at verse 1.
And Jesus answered and spake unto them again by parables, and said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king which made a marriage for his son, and sent forth his servants to call them that were bidden to the wedding, and they would not come. Again he sent forth other servants, saying, tell them which are bidden, behold, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all the things are ready. Come unto the marriage. But they made light of it and went their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise. And the remnant took his servants and entreated them spitefully and slew them. But when the king heard thereof, he was wroth, and he sent forth his armies and destroyed those murderers and burned up their city. Then saith he to his servants, the wedding is ready, but they which were bidden were not worthy. Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, be it to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. When the king came to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on the wedding garment. And he saith unto him, friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servant, bind him hand and foot and take him away, cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Many are called, but few are chosen.
Okay, that's good. So here we see some very interesting things that are taking place with this wedding garment, the parable of the wedding garment. We could also find the same parable in Luke 14. Okay. The parable of the wedding garment opens before us the lessons of the highest consequence. The marriage is represented the union of humanity with divinity. That's what the marriage represents. The wedding garment represents the character that everyone that is invited to the wedding feast must possess, and who is accounted fit guest for the wedding. If you don't have, I know a lot of people are not going to like this. If you don't have on the wedding garment, you can't get in and enjoy the festivities of the wedding. I know we don't like that. We don't like absolutes nowadays. We like to talk in terms of you have your truth, I have my truth. You got your wedding garment, I got my wedding garment. You got your interpretation, I got my interpretation. But in this parable, we don't see that. We don't see that at all. Because in this parable, just like in the parable of the Great Supper, we see an illustration of the gospel invitation for the nation of Israel. The rejection of this invitation was by the Jewish people, the Israelites. And the call of mercy to the Gentiles. The Gentiles here is talking about the Samaritans and stuff like that. Okay. On the part of those who reject this invitation, this parable brings to view a deeper insult and a more dreadful punishment. See, a lot of times we think, I'm just going to do what I want to do. There's not going to be no consequences. Why do I have to put on the wedding garment? Don't I have a free will? Yeah, you got a free will to put on the wedding garment or not to put on the wedding garment. But guess what? You're going to have to reap the repercussions of both. One is a repercussion of blessings. One is going to be a repercussion of curses. I know that we are rugged individualists. I get it. My opinion, my experience, my age. We're going to use all kind of excuses of why, well, I don't have to put on the wedding garment because I'm whatever. We're going to tell the good master, we're going to tell him, I'm old enough to know what I'm supposed to put on. I don't need you to tell me. I've been dressing myself my whole life. I wonder how that's going to work. I just wonder. The call to come to this wedding feast is a king's invitation. It is preceded from one who is invested with authority and a power to command. The very invitation confers a high honor upon the recipient. But the honor that is conferred is unappreciated. Yeah, you got a free will. You do. You got a free will. That's true. But guess what? A curse comes on all those that don't put on the wedding garment. The king's authority is despised. Yeah, a lot of people have a problem with the king's authority. That pesky word, authority. headship, rulership. We have a problem with that. While the householder's invitation was regarded with indifference, the king is met with insult and murder. The king is met with insult and murder. How was he met with insult and murder?
They killed his servants.
They killed his servants. He said, when you done it to the least of these, my brethren, you have done it to who? You've done it to me. When you've done it to the least of these, my brethren, you've done it unto me. They treat his servants with scorn, despitefully, using them and slaying them. This is what people are going to decide to use their free will for. They're going to use their free will to kill the servants and by proxy, the Most High. They're going to use their spirit and their free will that everybody like to brag about. They're going to use it to kill the Most High by killing his servants. Yeah, we know that nobody can kill the Most High. We know that. But the way you kill the Most High is how you treat his servants. That's how you kill the Most High. That's how you kill the message. That's how you kill the messengers, the heralders of the gospel. So when the householder, when he sees that his invitation is slighted, he declares that none of those men who were bidden to taste of the supper shall receive one morsel. But for those who had despised the king, more than exclusion from his presence and his table were decreed. Yeah, it's not only do you don't get a morsel, but another level of punishment needs to be levied towards you. Interesting. Very interesting. So a lot of times we are insulting the Most High, and we look at it as something being very light. We trifle with how rebellious we are, recalcitrant, disobedient, spiteful. Those who neglect the preparation are cast out of the wedding feast. So guess what? They make it in. They make it in. They're cast out, so they make it in. They make it into the wedding feast. But they don't stay. Because as the parable states, the king came to see the guests and saw there a man which had not on the wedding garment. That was puzzling to him. I supplied a wedding garment at great expense. It was the prescribed thing that you were supposed to wear. We understand you got a free will. Yeah, you got a free will. We understand that. But this is what you're supposed to wear. Let's see which one wins. The will of the king or your free will. Let's see. So he said unto him, friend, how camest thou in hither not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Why do you think he was speechless, Batia?
Because he was already previously told to get a wedding garment, but he didn't.
Okay. Why do you think he was speechless? Genesis.
Because he called him out.
Zavijava of Aholiab.
Well, I can't really say. Really. No, I really can't say.
Wife.
Well, he was guilty as charged.
He was self-condemned, y'all. He was self-condemned. That's why he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot and take him away. Separate him from everybody else. Somebody get Matthew 12:48. Cast him into outer darkness. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth.
That's not it.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to tell you. Oh, maybe it's Matthew 10:48. Maybe it's Matthew 10:48. That don't sound like it either. But go ahead, see.
This one, 10:48.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay, let me see here.
Nikki Newton.
Just calm down, y'all. Man, I'm trying. I can't even remember the scripture I wanted now. The call to come to this feast, the invitation to come to this feast, had been given by the disciples of Yehoshua. Yehoshua sent out the 12 and afterward the 70, proclaiming that the kingdom of Yahuwah was at hand, and calling upon men to repent and believe the gospel. What men? The men that he was calling to believe the gospel were Israelites. This was their introduction to the gospel of the kingdom. But the call was not heeded by this people. Those who were bidden to the feast did not come. They didn't come in repentance. They didn't come with contrite and broken heart. They didn't come with confession of sin. This is what it talks about coming. They didn't come. They would not. See, a lot of people think that they have come because they go to church every week. No, you're not. You're probably a devil up in there anyway. No wonder Yehoshua cast out so many devils in church. The servants were sent out, and they said, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fatlings are killed, and all things are ready. Come to the marriage. This was the message borne by the Jewish nation after the crucifixion of Yahuwah. But the nation that claimed to be God's peculiar people rejected the gospel. The ministers of Yahuwah rejected the gospel. The people who were supposed to save the other nations reject the gospel. So it's no way they could be saved. They refuse to even give the invitation, to accept the invitation by putting on the wedding garment. Many did this in the most scornful manner. See, it's one thing to reject the message. It's a whole nother thing to go over the top in rejecting the message. Guess what? That's what the Jewish nation did. That's what the leaders did. Predominantly. They rejected the message in the most scornful way in their handling of the Mashiach, the crucifixion, the beating, the trial all night long, the mockery, the most scornful manner of rejecting the message. They ascended to that standard. Wow. And these are the people that was teaching Torah. You better watch out for these people that always talk about Torah this, Torah that. Be careful. There was a group of people that did that same thing, and they crucified the Lord of glory. Be very careful, because a lot of times what they say don't line up with what was in their heart. And these people should have been handed over to Satan long time ago. Those who are bidden to the feast did not come. The Jewish nation after the crucifixion of Yehoshua, but the nation that claimed to be Yahuwah's peculiar people rejected the good news brought to them by the power of the Holy Spirit. Many of these individuals did this in the most scornful manner. Others were so exasperated by the offer of salvation, the offer of pardon, for rejecting Yehoshua of glory, that they turned upon the bearers of the message. They got exhausted hearing these people trying to give them salvation, and they turned on the messengers. And I guarantee you that none of those messengers were perfect. They had all kind of hang-ups. But people think they can reject the message because you got a hang-up. You're going to be found weighed in the balances, and you're going to be found damned. And you think your excuse is going to be, but he said, it's like, did you hear the message? Yeah, I heard it, but he was, it's like, yeah, you don't make it in. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth as your assignment. You can't imagine the horror that's going to come on somebody's face when they find out they was rejecting the Lord of glory by a way of messengers that were not perfect. That's going to be so sad. The Bible tells us in Acts chapter 8, verse 1, there was a great persecution. This is how we know that they turned upon the messengers. Many, both of men and women, were thrust into prison, and some of the Lord's messenger, as Stephen and James, were put to death. Was James and Stephen perfect? No, they wasn't. But that didn't give them any justification to kill these men and reject their message. It's going to be a sad day. And I'm going to say this too. Everybody's looking for a perfect messenger to give them the message just perfectly. You're going to go to hell. That's not about to happen. Some people are looking for Jesus, Yehoshua, to come down here and give them a message personally. It's not going to happen. You damned. You're not going to make it. He's going to send frail, fragile, sometimes fearful servants to give you a message. And it's going to be determined by your heart whether or not you accept or received it. The Jewish people sealed the rejection of Yehoshua's mercy. The results was foretold by Yehoshua in this parable. The king sent forth his army and destroyed those murderers and burned up their cities. The judgment that was pronounced upon them in the destruction of Jerusalem and the scattering of the nation. The wedding garment. Let's look at Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. Will someone read that for me, please? Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 7 and 8. Any day now. It's really time to focus right now.
Hold thy peace at the presence of your God. For the day of the Lord is at hand, for the Lord has prepared a sacrifice. He hath bid his guests. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice, I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such are clothed with strange apparel.
Strange apparel. Those that are bidden to the feast are not going to be able to wear strange apparel. We're not going to be able to wear outlandish jewelry. You're not going to be able to do that. I know you got your free will. I know you got your own personal expression, but you're not going to be able to do it. Read it again, Genesis.
And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice, I will punish the princes and the king's children.
In the day of the Lord's sacrifice, what sacrifice is this? He's going to sacrifice the wicked in Israel. Keep going.
All such as are clothed with strange apparel.
In the day of the Lord's sacrifice, he's going to punish all those that are clothed in strange apparel. Tight clothes, fitting clothes. You're going to get punished for that. Revealing clothes, clothes that's too thin. Yeah, you're not going to make it in with clothes that's too thin. Somebody get Numbers. I mean, Isaiah 52, verse 1 and 2. Isaiah 52, 1 and 2.
Awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion.
Put on thy strength, O Zion.
Put on thy beautiful garments.
Put on thy beautiful garments. What garments? The garments that have been provided for you. That have been provided at great expense. That has been conferred upon you by the authority of the king. Put on your beautiful garments. Keep going.
O Jerusalem, the holy city, for henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean.
Right. The uncircumcised and unclean person is not going to come in your midst. What unclean person? The Israelites that are unclean. They're not going to be in your assembly anymore. The Most High is going to cut them off. Everything that I'm sharing with you all is about an investigative judgment. When it says no more shall come up in the midst of thee, the what? The uncircumcised and the unclean.
Yeah.
That's an investigation that's taking place. It's an investigative judgment where he separates the wheat from the tares. Those that have the wedding garment and those that don't. The sheep and the goats. It's an investigation that's going on. He is auditing the souls of men, the hearts of men, the characters of men. Keep going.
Shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem, loose thyself from the bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion. That's right.
He's going to bring us out of captivity. Stay focused, Jezreel. He's going to bring us out of captivity. We're going to shake ourselves from the dust. What is the dust? The dust is your lower state. Shake thyself from thy dust, O captive daughter of Zion. That's why he said, arise, shine, for thy light is come. Why? Because you're in the dust. Another one bites the dust. Somebody get Colossians chapter 3, verse 9. Colossians chapter 3, verse 9. Read 10 too.
All right. Lie not one to another, see that ye have put off the old man with his deeds.
Put off the old man. The old man is representative of the garment that has not been authorized to wear at the wedding feast. The old man is the old garment. Keep going.
And have put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge after the image of him that created him.
That's the new garment. After the image of him who created him. Keep going.
Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, nor circumcision or uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all in all.
Right. In other words, it don't mean that these people don't exist. There's no difference between a man or a woman or a slave or nothing. It's not saying that. It's saying that Yahuwah going to have to be in all those people in the same way. In other words, they're going to have on the wedding garment. No matter who you are, bond, freed, male, female, you're going to have on the wedding garment. That's what people don't get. Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6. Start at verse 11.
Put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
So you put on Yehoshua, you put off the carnal man, but in Ephesians 6 it says you put on the what? Whole armor of Yehoshua. This is another type of garment. It's a garment for what? Warfare. Keep reading.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Keep going.
Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day.
Armor of God, garment of the Most High. Keep going.
And having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness.
So don't just hang it up in the closet. You got to put it on. Keep going.
And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked.
Right. So all of these are accoutrements of war that one is to put on in order to have protection against the wiles of Satan. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 38. So we see in Ephesians chapter 6 that you have to put on the whole armor of Yahuwah. David had on the whole armor of Yahuwah, but somebody was trying to stop him. And they tried to give him another garment to put on. we're going to see what that garment was.
First Samuel what?
17.
What verse?
38.
And Saul armored David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail.
Keep going.
And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he assayed to go,
Assuaged.
for he had not provided it. And David said unto Saul,
He had not
go,
proved it.
for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with thee, for I have not provided them. And they proved them, and David put them off of him.
Okay, so David was provided some armor by his elders, the top elder in Israel. And he said, you know what? I can't wear this. It's going to get me killed. I'm going to have to put on the whole armor of the Most High, Saul. And if this armor was so good, Saul, why you ain't wearing it and out there killing Goliath? So the armor of the King David to fight Goliath was the Ephesians chapter 6 armor. But a lot of people are going to say, well, that's not adequate. So I want to give you something else, a little something. But thankfully, David was wise enough to say, you know what? I'm not wearing this. It ain't helping you. That's why you're giving it to me. David was very wise. But I'm going to conclude right there. That was just a little bit of something to contemplate about the armor of the Most High, the wedding garment that's spoken of in Matthew chapter 22, verse 1 through 14, and Luke 14. This is Prophet Rohe Nabi signing out. Hope you all have a wonderful week. May the Most High bless and keep you. And shalom to Israel, Ark of Yah, and Prentice Ben Israel. And yes, this is the first day of fasting. I have actually fasted a whole 24 hours since 5 o'clock yesterday. So, so I got you all's names and stuff on my little prayer list. Oh, I see one person's name I didn't have on here. It's Israel Ark of Yah. So I'm putting you on here. I don't think you was here last night. So during this fast, I'm praying for the usual people that come to my chat room and my family and people's health, strength, relationships. So till we meet again, you all have a wonderful week. Shalom.